A few years ago, prior to the Doctor's 12 regeneration limit being reached, I did an episode looking at the history of regeneration in the show, and my advice at the time was just ignore it, let's just keep going with as many Doctors as we want and not deal with it narratively. They did. I guess it made sense, the Time Lords have given him some new lives. With the Doctor's forthcoming gender change coming up, I thought we'd have a look at that topic this time. Now, I'm very much a Doyleist, up one end of the scale. It's a TV show, it's written by writers over 50 odd years, times change, it's now been decided that it's time for a female Doctor. That's all the explanation that I need as a viewer. But what if you're at the other end of the scale, if you're a Watsonian, you're within the universe, you're trying to find an explanation of why it all hangs together? Is it possible to find one? Since taking over the show, and in fact prior to taking over the show with The Curse of Fatal Death, Stephen Moffat has been laying the ground for a female Doctor. But what do we actually know? Well, we know that the Corsair was mostly a bloke, who was occasionally a woman. We know that the General has mostly been a woman, who's occasionally been a bloke. And we've got Missy, the Master, as far as we knew, was a man and is now a woman. And then we have the Night of the Doctor, where we are told that gender change is one of the unpredictable aspects of regeneration, and if the Doctor had chosen the right cup, that could be something that was fixed one way or the other in his next regeneration. But that introduces something of a problem, because if it's purely down to chance what gender the Doctor ends up with, whether he's male or she's female, then the odds are this, which is rather unlikely. Pretty much every other Time Lord we've seen change has remained the same gender as well. Barusa, we've had 4 male Barusas. Morbius, if you count those faces as Morbius faces rather than Doctor faces, which I think we have to now, then he had 6 or 7 male regenerations. Romana stayed as a woman. I'm not even going to touch her regeneration because various weird things were going on there with her changing bodies. That's a podcast for another day. And Rassilon has been a man all the times that we've encountered him. We also need to consider, if it's purely down to chance, why the Doctor wasn't given female options when the Time Lords forcibly regenerated him at the end of the War Games. If this is a natural part of all Time Lord regeneration that you could be male or could be female, then it seems a bit unfair to only offer him male faces. There should have been some female ones. Now, you may have noticed I haven't really talked about the Master yet, and that's because there may be a glimmering of an answer there. If you think about it, we never saw the Master regenerate until Series 3 of the new show. Yes, he had lots of faces in the old show, but none of them were actually regenerations. We started with Delgado's Master, we didn't know what incarnation he was. The next time we saw that incarnation, he was disfigured and played by Peter Pratt and subsequently Geoffrey Beevers. Using the power of the Keeper, he took over Tremas, not a proper regeneration. The next time we see the Master, he's a weird snake thing. Takes over the body of Eric Roberts, again, not a regeneration. So it's only when Derek Jacobi is shot and turns into John Sim that we actually saw the Master regenerate. And then Missy kills the Master and becomes Missy. 2 regenerations. So with the Master, actually, you could say it's just down to chance. Doesn't really work for other things because, as we've said, the General changed gender, and the one regeneration of the Generals that we've seen was him being killed by the Doctor and returning to female form. I think the conclusion that I've come to as I've rambled on is there isn't really any definitive picture that we're starting to build up. There's too little data to play with. We have the Doctor shooting the General, causing a gender change. We have the Master, we have Missy killing the Master himself to become herself. We have the Corsair changing gender, but we don't know why. We have the Doctor about to change gender. Maybe the first Doctor is the catalyst for the Doctor becoming a woman, when the 12th Doctor, or whatever number you want to call Capaldi's Doctor, changes into the next one. Maybe that will be something in the Christmas special that Moffat will have considered. Maybe he's been told by Chibnall to leave it alone, and Chibnall wants to come up with some answer that we will see next year or even further down the line. As I said at the top, I don't really care, and I prefer that they just ignored it in the same way that I'd wish they'd ignored the regeneration limit. But they didn't then, and I suspect they perhaps won't now. What are your ideas of how this might work, how it might be explained within the narrative? What bits of the history of the show have I forgotten because I'm slightly sleep deprived at the moment? Please send a comment to min_dw@yahoo.co.uk or comment below wherever you're watching this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the subject. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do comment down below. Also, click below to subscribe, click over there for the previous episode, and click down there for a randomly selected previous episode.